Welcome to the Ideal Investor Show. This is the podcast where we help you challenge your mindset and discover where you are. Tired of stories about other people's success? We can help you change your life, determine your time freedom point, and join us on the journey to financial success. Let's go. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ideal Investor Show. And this is the continuation of our mini-series about emotions and money and all those kind of emotional things that can happen. And what I would like to talk to you about today is a phenomenon called risk aversion. But there's also another term that I will tell you in a moment, and that will probably ring a bell for you. This idea of risk aversion has a number of different causes and origins, but kind of in my mind goes to a similar thinking. You probably heard this statement about, if somebody ever burned their hand on a hot oven plate or over a hot fire or something like that, then you know to be cautious, right? When you basically unintentionally or not knowing burned yourself, either literally or figuratively, then you like to stay away. And one thing, if you really think about investing and using money to grow it, then in reality, even though there is a massive spectrum of individual investments you can make, right? If I'm not mistaken, there are like 7,000 different companies on the stock market just in the United States, and there are many stock markets all across the world. There are many stocks, but stocks is a category. Right? You can decide to invest in stocks or not. Then there's the other category that you can invest in, that it would be bonds and treasury bills, basically interest-bearing investment. Then the next category, the one that we are mainly in, is real estate. And that has different facets. It has commercial and residential and malls and storage units and washing machine parlors and what have you. But it's all, or like even just undeveloped land. So all of that falls in the category of real estate. Then you obviously have cash. Then you have what's called precious metals like gold, silver, the coins of it, platinum, uranium, all those kind of things, which also lead over to something called commodities, which has stuff like, pork bellies and beans and wheat and things like that. So that's the commodities and precious metals market. And then you have crypto, which is a relatively new opportunity that has emerged, which is at the peak, it had like 20,000 different crypto coins that you could invest into. But that's pretty much it. And then there's one other area. There is a little interesting story I always am reminded. It's called the Mrs. Watanabe story. And that is basically Forex investing, which means you're trading currencies, right? Like you're buying dollars for a certain exchange in euros or Japanese yen or Chinese yuan. And you're waiting when the exchange ratio is changing in your favor, and then you're selling whatever you bought and you make a profit. So that's Forex or foreign exchange trading. But if you count it, this is like 6 or 7 and that's it. So in a way, you have these 6 or 7 different places or different categories that you can invest in. And people in general, going back to this example with the hot fire or hot oven plate, if you get burned in investing in one of them, human nature reaction oftentimes is to say, okay, I'm not going to do that again. Right? And so people have actually invested in the stock market, sometimes with research, oftentimes without any research, just because they got a so-called tip about a company, or they got one of these phone calls with a guy in New York sitting at a trading desk. If you ever watched any of those movies like Wall Street, where somebody calls you and says, oh, I have this secret that nobody else knows about. And if you give me $1,000 or $10,000, then it's going to double, triple, quadruple, whatever. And people get talked into this. Why am I talking about this kind of like as an introduction? Because it has a lot to do with the risk aversion. And I had a guy named David who came to me and who basically said, okay, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with my money anymore. I know I should do investments. I know I should actually see that I grow a portfolio, but I tried the stock market and I got burned. And I did some real estate investing and I got burned. And you have to keep in mind, this was before 2022 that he came to me and he said, well, I looked at my bank account and I get 0.25% interest in my savings account. I don't really see what I can do, and I know nothing about this stuff like gold and so forth. So am I screwed? I basically, in the mentoring sessions that we had, we worked on this idea that because something didn't work the first time you tried it, does that really mean that you should never try it again? What basically came out was a discovery that trying it again would require that you feel comfortable with trying it again. And to feel comfortable, you need to really reasonably understand what you're doing. That's one option. So you need to do the research. Or you find somebody that already knows how to do it well, has a track record of doing it well, and you build a relationship with that person and you start trusting that person, and then you can do it together. And that's basically, in a way, what I'm doing with our mentoring programs for residential real estate, investing out of state using turnkey providers. I have done this now for pretty much 15 years with all kinds of clients. We have the clients, we have the referrals. So anybody who says, okay, I don't know if I want to actually do residential real estate investing, for one, I would invite you to go to idealinvestorshow.com and find the button to book a call so we can talk about it and see if it's for you. But if you were to say, okay, I have this call, but when we have the call, I want to actually learn from you. I want to see, what do you really have? Can you show me? And yes, I would show you the properties that we have. I would show you the lenders that we work with, the turnkey providers that we work with, the insurance providers, the inspectors, the appraisers, by name, by literally their email address, their phone number, and who they worked with. And obviously would also invite you to talk to any of our existing clients to get their testimonial and ask them all the questions that you want. So I would say for myself, for the out-of-state residential real estate investing using turnkey providers, I would be one of these people who actually have the track record to show you and prove to you that it works. What David's problem was that he had invested in the stock market, then he realized he didn't do enough of his research, so he did it basically on a whim. And his next reaction was, well, if this is the stock market or any other category of investments, then what he wanted to do is do the analysis and the research, and he got what's called analysis paralysis. He got so much information that it became overwhelming and ultimately couldn't really decide what to do anymore and basically got paralyzed. And that is ultimately a form of risk aversion. And I mentioned it earlier. What I meant is the other term that a lot of people have heard more often is analysis paralysis. You have so much information, especially now with the internet and YouTube and all this stuff, that it gets harder and harder and harder to know what is the relevant and the good and worthy information and what is just noise. And so if you have too much information, then you're paralyzed too. The proper approach is, for one, you want to know and understand what you're investing in. That is what Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett always said made them the most successful people, and it's a really, really good to know. Don't invest in something that you don't understand. Number two, when you get to the point that you start having an understanding, but you still don't necessarily know exactly how to do it and how much to do it, then find somebody that you can develop a relationship with, that is a mentor to you, that you start trusting, that can prove to you that there's a track record of success, and then do it together. And that's what happened to David. He kind of slowly and surely lost his risk aversion and his analysis paralysis because we spent a lot of time, session after session, really diving into me educating him about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and what he would be interested in and how he could do it and how he can better understand it. And then we obviously started small and then slowly increased his investments. And what has happened is, for one, he is a relatively happy investor, I would say. The results are definitely very positive, but he is also a much happier person because he has lost most of this anxiety that paralyzed him. I'm sure there are people out there listening to this episode and say, yeah, I have had that similar anxiety. I got burned once or maybe twice. And now I'm really afraid to do anything because I'm always afraid that I could do something wrong and lose the little bit or the amount of money that I'm willing to put in. It's much, much easier when you have somebody you trust who can help you. But it's also important that you really do make an effort to understand what you're actually getting into. And that also means when you want to do this, and this is one of my big lessons, is when you want to do and get that understanding, it cannot be in 2,500 different things. You pick a few things that you're really, really interested in, because then you have the motivation to study them. Then you will understand them. And with that understanding, you will be much better investor and much more informed investor. So I hope you can take that. It was educational. You saw a little bit of yourself in this. And I would love to hear your stories, by the way, if you go and, give it a rating and give it a comment and a review and share your stories, what you have experienced with anxiety and analysis paralysis. So that's it for today. Be well and stay safe, and I talk to you tomorrow.